to play?
Okay, so we're going to do the pop bumpers now. So these ones are really mangled. You can see that they basically had old coil stops that they've had to weld back on. I've got some nice clean new ones here which I'll put on the new game, but to get these out you're just going to be using a 5/16 nut driver, and you need to have the ones that have got a long hollow stem so that you can actually go over the long screws. You can see there, so it literally goes over the screw and down, and it allows you to just release that. And you remember that I put Molex connectors on all of these so that I can just unplug them when I need to move them. So let's just loosen these all out. So let me get these out, and then we're going to have a look at how we actually get these nuts which are driven into the Playfield out. So now that I've got the pops off on all three of these, you can see these are the screws that go into the pops, and they are embedded in here. Okay, so to get this out I'm going to tap it, but instead of damaging the screw by banging on a hammer, I've put one of the old nuts that I've just taken off on top, and literally just going to gently tap it. And that then comes out pretty easily. Take that off. Let's flip it over and have a look. So here's the one that's been banging out. It literally just twists out. There we go. And so that's what those look like. They've got a bit of thread in them that binds into the wood, and this is what binds onto the nut on the other side. So I'm going to do the same for all of these now. So we're all done. All 9 of the screws now removed. They're in fairly good shape. I might just give them a bit of a clean up mildly, but I'm going to reuse those and get them back onto the other Playfield. This is a bit slightly more nerve-wracking, is how do we get these in with that hammer and make sure we don't damage that other Playfield. So that's the next step. Let's go. Okay, so we're now on the new Playfield, and here are the screws that need to go in. Now, there are some videos that suggest you might want to drill these out. I'm going to try one of them without drilling it out. The other thing is that if you look on the other side of the Playfield, where the pop bumpers go, there's also some videos from CPR themselves, so you can maybe drill these out, but those seem quite old. So if I go back to the top, without much force at all, I'm able to just turn these in without having to damage or to drill the hole at the bottom. So I'm going to try one of these. These literally are just turning in with my fingers. Then the moment this bites, I'm going to use tighten the bolt on to see how that goes. Okay, so I'm going to give this a bit of a tap just to get it to a point where it's going to bite. Okay, then I'm going to attach on this side one large washer and then one smaller washer. That's just going to protect the wood a little bit, and then a nut. And by tightening this, let's see if I can get both sides. Let's see what happens. You can see that side getting drawn in. No need to drill. Look at that, perfect finish. Really happy with that. That's great. And on the underside, that's worked really well. And then of course I just got to take this off, redo it again. Another 8 times. So let me get into that. And then I can put the new pop bumpers in. This was one of the things that was really worrying me, this and the T-nuts. Do the one more so you can see it from both sides. I'll do this one up here. Literally it just goes in. So it's come through. We give it a bit of a tap with the hammer, just to the point where it binds. Big washer, little washer, and my nut. And the big washer, little washer actually I thought works really well, because now what happens is that the pressure gets dispersed around a bigger area, and this really is not that hard at all. It's just, and the top washer also turns a little bit, so the little washer, and this in it goes, and it really is beautiful. That's nice and flush now. Oh, fidget. That is not good at all. Over tightening that. Bollocks. Even though I was hand tightening it, this one has just sheared off. That's now sheared off in there. What am I going to do? I could tap it out. Just go and buy another one. Ah, that's irritating. So I've got a little punch. I'm just going to secure this. It's coming up. Okay, so I've got the sheared off bolt now, and I'm just using that to go through, gently tapping it. Okay, so that's now almost out, and sure enough, there it is. So I'll need to go and order some of these, because I don't have any of these lying about. So let me do that, but add that to my list. But that shouldn't stop me doing the other things. So note to self, when doing this, be gentle. Don't tighten it too hard. I'm going to try and see if I need to even use the hammer on the top. You do need to tap it once or twice, just a little bit, to stop it from spinning. Okay, that's it, lesson learned, not going to go too tight. That's nice and flush. All you really need it to be is flush. Really don't have to hit it in far at all. It's just to let that thread, which is designed to bind into the wood, to bind. Okay. That's halfway, apart of course from the one that I busted. You can see now all three of these are in nicely now, and on this side all of these nice and flush. Did not have to drill these out at all, and no real issue on this side at all as well. These are all in. So I'm going to do the rest of those, won't bore you with it. Let's go. I'll be back with when I start putting the actual hardware back on. Okay, so those are all in. Now I'll just get the new pop bumper brackets and put these back. I suppose you could actually not use the washers in the first place and just use this, but I think the good idea with the washers is it increases the surface area on the playfield, and so you don't end up with any marks whatsoever at the bottom of the playfield. Whereas if you did it straight onto here, you might find that particularly these smaller parts of the bracket will end up digging in to the playfield, so that's why I use the washers. Okay, that's all done. That looks a hell of a lot nicer. I'm going to do the other three. This one might wait to get the supplies in. Let's get that sorted, and I'll come back to you when I start to put the rest of the pop bumper mechanism on. So I've reinstalled this with the solenoid and the yokes and everything in place. So this is what it looked like before. Just a reminder, I've got the new brackets in. Don't want to put these back. So let's just get this one out and I'll show you what I've done. So just removing the two screws at the back, and then the bracket that holds it all in place comes loose. So there's the old manky one, I'll throw that away for sure. So what I want to do is just take this whole unit apart just to check to see that what is the state of the coil sleeve and the likes. Let me give this a bit of a clean, and then I'll show you how I put it all back together. Okay, so we've got all this nice and clean. So this can be quite fiddly to get in. So what I've found works best is take the bracket, you put it in like that, metal bracket. Then you put the spring in, so that's in like that. Now you take the plunger, stick it through, and then rotate the plunger around. So you end up like that. It's a really fiddly. Then you take the Bakelite one and you put it in the opposite way so that the slot is going in. So now you end up with your unit looking like that. Steel Bakelite spring with the plunger. So lip on the top, in goes the coil, then comes your unit with all of your facing outwards. Once that's all done, you get your screws and screw it in from the back. Okay, and now you push up on the bracket and screw the screws in, making sure you get a nice solid link. So that's what it looks like in the end. Okay, and we'll just go and put the rest of it on once we get that all together. I'm going to go ahead and do this pop bumper number 3, and then we'll go and look at how we attack it from the top. Okay, so all done, all installed. We go from these horrible looking brackets to nice new ones, all installed with all of the components all nice and clean. So now we'll move on to the next thing. That's it for episode 7. Next episode, we're going to repair the subway that goes from the scoop down to the spider hole. Thanks very much for watching. Stay in touch, subscribe, hit the alert button, and feel free to share it on Aussie Arcade or on Pinside. Until next time.